Alright, where's that cleaning rag? Nope, not here. No. Come on, where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh, hi. Probably wondering where the new video is for the new project that we're going to be working on. Well, fortunately, I'm not going to be doing a video on it, so sorry to waste your time. See you next time. Bye. Need a lift? Welcome back to Dylan's Outdoor Garage. Today I get to show you our brand new project that I've been teasing you guys about. Say hello to our 1981 to 1984 Model R Taylor Dunn. It's a 36 volt electric utility cart. This thing is pretty cool. I got it from a family member who had it at their house for a couple years. Didn't know what he was going to do with the project on it, but he picked it up from someone that got it from an old lumber mill, and this used to be used in a lumber yard to get around the site. So luckily for me, that family member didn't want it at their house anymore, so I took it off their hands and thought it would be an awesome video to share you guys. I kind of did a little bit of tinkering with it since I brought it here when I first got it. I'll show you some before photos when I had it loaded up on the trailer. This thing was just bone stock. It had no batteries in it. Well, it had a couple batteries, but those batteries were so old that they were cracking, so there was nothing left in the batteries. So I got brand new 12 volt batteries for it because it does require 6 volt batteries, but I did convert it to run off of a 12 volt battery so that I can save on space and hopefully to kind of lessen the weight from those 6 volt batteries. So far it works awesome. I did add some LED lights to the cart once I got it. So you can see here I got some LED lights on the front that do change from a white to an amber color. And then I also have this light bar on the top as well. So these are both waterproof so that it'll stand up in the rain. And I did wire it up. So I kind of jerry-rigged the system because I didn't want to run these lights off of the 36 volt. So what I did is that I added a separate 12 volt battery that I had laying around. What I think would be the heart of this cart would be what's down here under the seat. So this is where we have our 12 volt battery that's just for our 12 volt accessories to power our 2 pod lights, our floodlight at the top, and also some 12 volt accessories that we have up here that I'm going to explain here in a minute. This is where we have our 3 12 volt deep cycle batteries that we have to make 36 volts. That's tied together to make 36. This is the controller for the forward and reverse and also the throttle. Down here on this side, there are 5 copper plates that is for the speed. So whenever the pedal gets pressed down on, that lever moves. And that basically gives it for the power that it needs to be able to go forward and the speed that you're going to be going. It does stick a little bit because those copper platings are pretty well worn down. So what I'm going to do is I'll take those off, sand them down, and get them nice and clean, and then that should prevent the sticking. There are adjustment screws, but I'll have to look at the manual that I do have for the Model R, so I can try to see if I can adjust it because it shouldn't be tight. It should just let go when you let go of the gas, but it's kind of sticking, so we'll get that fixed. There's a lot of wires in here from past accessories that were installed from the previous owners. All these new wires were from all the wiring that I've done. All these get ran under the chassis, and I do have them tubed up like this and also heat shrinked and zip tied to the frame so they're not going to get damaged. There are some wires like this one that are just not being used, but a lot of them were tied together to other components. It's going to take some time to be able to kind of figure out what's not being used. So it's gonna take a little bit longer. So hopefully we can get that all cleaned up and make it nice. I might have to do some rewiring and kind of make this a little bit cleaner down here. But there are some straps you can see that are missing from these batteries. So they're pretty loose in here. We don't want that. I'm gonna try to get some universal battery tie down straps to hold those batteries down so that they're not moving around quite a bit. So that way that we can keep the longevity of these batteries so they don't get damaged, and if we go over bumpy roads or anything, that it doesn't bounce those batteries up and down and cause them to damage the battery cells on the inside. So right here on the dash, we have our ignition switch that we have to be able to turn the cart on and off, and also to control the accessory lights. Originally, to turn the cart on, there was a toggle switch down under the cushion that was just installed either by the previous owners that'd be able to flick it on and off to be able to prevent it from being stolen, because the original from the factory, there was a key lock right here that basically when it locked up, it pushed this lever forward and it actually engaged this rod down here that actually prevents the lever from being moved. But because they don't make parts for that anymore, so I'm just going to stick with this design of taking this ignition lock that I took from an old riding mower that was sitting around. Then we jump over here. We have the toggle switch for the floodlight on the top. And then down here, right here, we have our switch for the pod lights for the two. And then this switch right here I installed is for to measure what the voltage is for the 36 volt batteries. So right now it's at 37.4. Which is okay, because when you do charge these battery up, the battery chargers do put them up to 38 volts, which is not going to hurt the system. It'll just use the 36 volts, and over time it does drop it down to around 37.5, which I've seen where it sits normally when I don't use it. So that basically allows me to see what the voltage is. So I'll turn that off because I don't want to drain the battery. And then this one right here, so whenever I turn the key on to the first position, it actually puts power to the 12 volt lights. So now you can see that now I can see what the voltage is of the 12 volt battery. So it's sitting at 12.5 volts. So now that, we can be able to turn the pod lights on, which to be able to turn the pod lights on, I just push this on, and then you can see we have lights on the pods. So they're two LED pod lights, they're pretty bright, so they're pretty nice to see. And then if I want to turn on the light bar, I just flick that lever on, and then we get that LED light bar. And you can see it's pretty bright. I'll put a video of when I first installed these lights, of when I was driving down on my dark driveway. I'm gonna put that in the video right now. So you can see that that light is pretty bright. So that's definitely, I'm not going to say you can't see where you're going. Whereas the old light that was on here, that candle light, maybe you could see a small little window, hence the name candle light. It was very, very dim. You couldn't see anything. So, and as you can see, with those two lights on, we've dropped down to 11.2 volts. So it's not too bad. It's not draining too much power. So I'm just going to flick that off. And then a cool thing with these pod lights is that if I push the button pretty quickly, it goes amber. So if I don't want too bright of a lights, then I can turn them on to the amber mode. And just to simply reset it, I just got to push it, wait a few seconds, and it goes back to LED. So it's not too bad. I think for the light bar and the two pod lights, I think I probably spend about no more than 150 bucks because they were on sale. It did come with a wiring harness for those pod lights that I didn't use. I did buy this wiring harness separate, which is made by Sylvania, which are not sponsored by this video, but it does come with these multi connections where you can have more than one. So I did wire up the lights to this and have it routed all the way down here. Behind the seat, this is the relay for when you turn it on, it clicks. That's what the clicking sound you were hearing. And then the fuses down here. And then I have the wiring for the pod lights routed through the down here. So the cool thing about this ignition switch is that it has a 2-position switch to it. It has an on with lights or just on. The on with lights allows me to be able to use the cart still and have lights at the exact same time. Whereas during the daytime when there's no need for the lights, I can still use the cart just by turning the key to the right one more time and the lights turn off and the voltmeter for the battery turns off as well. So I can be able to use the cart and not have any issues of the 12-volt battery draining when it's not being in use. The downside is with that is that the 12-volt battery is not tied in with the 36-volt system. So when it's charging the 36-volt system, that 12-volt battery is not getting charged. So my solution that I found out is that I have a solar panel that I attach these alligator clips to the battery, and I put the panel up here, and it actually maintains the battery pretty well. I do have a battery charger that does have a connector that looks like, if it wants to open, that looks like that. And so what the plan is that I'm going to mount it right here and be able to feed this wire through here and put some silicone on here and seal it up. And whenever I want to use the solar panel, I can just take the solar panel so whenever I have that installed, instead of having to try to take the seat out every single time, I can just take this end here and just plug it in to this connector, which will be connected to the battery. I do also have a battery charger that does have an adapter that has this connection as well. So if I just need more power to be able to charge the batteries quickly instead of using the sun, I could be able to just plug that connector right into that and it'll just be able to charge the battery that way as well. So the hardest thing that I came across this was trying to identify this Taylor Dunn cart. I spent hours looking up manuals. I even reached out to Taylor Dunn directly and tried to ask them, can you help me identify what type of utility cart this is? I gave them the serial number, but because of how old that serial number is, their database couldn't go back that far to try to figure out what type it was. And they asked me if I can take a picture of the data plate, which the data plate is usually located on the passenger side down here. But the plate, it got spray painted over. So when they painted the interior yellow, they painted over that data plate, which the data plate wasn't embroidered. It wasn't stamped in, it was printed on. So if I try to clean up that paint off, I would scrape away at those numbers. So luckily I did find a number on the frame on the back side, and I was able to send it to them, but because of how old it is, they were only able to give me a range based off of the length of the serial number. They said that it ranged anywhere between a 1981 to a 1984, and they were able to tell me, based off of what they saw on the photos of what I sent them, they said that it looks like it's a Model R. So because of the Model R, it doesn't have any, like the lights in the front. Usually this was used as a golf cart. So it kind of makes sense. It's kind of like a golf cart style. So it's not kind of like an industrial style cart. I did find one that looked very similar, but it had lights on the front already built in, and it didn't match quite right. The manual that they did send me for the Model R has almost exactly, based off of the parts diagram, exactly of what this cart has. It was down to the T of the electrical motor. That it was, the wiring was the exact same, the steering column was the exact same, the steering mechanism was the exact same, so I was kind of confident that it was a Model R. So under this angle iron in the back is where the action starts. This is the DC motor by General Motors. This is a 36 volt or a 24 volt motor, so it's hooked up for 36. It does have a RPM of 2850 amps is what it has. This guy is driven by a chain that is connected down here to the rear differential, which rotates the rear end. And this is where I also found the serial number that I provided Taylor and Dunn, trying to figure out what kind of cart this is. The angle iron, I most likely am going to remove and to replace that with either wood or a different type of material because this angle iron is pretty heavy. And you can see it's a good thickness. So that can also help reduce the weight that we're having with the cart. Cool thing is that this cabinet is actually not stock from the factory. It was actually handmade by the lumber company that owned it before, and you can definitely tell by the craftsmanship of all, like they handmade it by adding these like metal little pieces of metal to for like the window. They use like an old latch to be able to lock the door in. They did install a plexiglass in the front and in the rears, and also in the both doors. The weight that this cabinet adds to the chassis does kind of reduce the range and also the speeds that this cart can do. I did see that this 36-volt cart should be getting about 12 to 14 miles per hour. But when I tested it on a straight road, paved road, it got to a max speeds of 8 miles per hour, which kind of seems pretty slow, but it's because of the weight of this metal chassis that's on here. So what I was thinking of doing is like doing a test by taking these doors off and seeing how much that affects it. And also, I don't want to really get rid of the front and the back parts of the cabinet because of the plexiglass and these rubber seals that they have on there. I kind of want to keep those because it's a nice windscreen for the front and also a good windshield in the back. But the downside is I might have to remove it and maybe change the design up a little bit. But it's something that I'm going to kind of debate about and maybe get your guys' opinions on it. If you guys want to comment what you guys suggest down in the comments down below. I do read those pretty often, and I do appreciate you guys giving your guys' feedback on it. I definitely want to get your guys' involvement in this project because it's something that I want to do with you guys. It's something that I haven't done this stuff before. I haven't worked on any electric golf carts and stuff. Most of my stuff has been gas, small engine, like Briggs and Stratton's engines, nothing like electric. So this is kind of like a whole new terrain for me. Definitely a lot of research has gone into this cart already, and it's something that I'm kind of, part of me feels like I took too much of a bite out of the apple, but I definitely think it'll be worth it because I do want to get you guys involved as well. I'm really excited about this new project, and I hope you guys are as well. Definitely, it's going to be a new beast to tackle. It's something totally different than what I normally work on, but I definitely can't wait to share it with you guys. And I have a lot of ideas that I want to do, and I also want to hear from you guys and what your guys' suggestions and ideas. So drop those down below. There's definitely a lot of things that still need to be done. Definitely needs a new paint job, tires, possibly upgrade the motor or convert it to gas, or just keep the original that is there and just keep it the way it is. Definitely need to redo some of the wiring and kind of clean it up a little bit, reupholster the seats. So there's a lot of things that need to be done to it, but hopefully you guys are interested in this project as much as I am. So if you want to stay tuned for future videos for this, if you want to turn on your bell notifications so the second that a video goes up, you'll get notified. If you're new here, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you do like the content and you want to see more of it, please like the video. It does let me know what content that you guys want to see. It helps me to be able to get ideas of what future videos to put out. And I do appreciate you all being here and all the subscribers that we have gained since my last video. Welcome. I appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.